we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the OG podcast / YouTube show with Jerm and Gom. What's going on, Gom?
Not bad. I've been growing a beard for about 2 weeks. How's it looking?
It looks good. It looks really, really good.
No, not 2 weeks.
I
2
like.
days.
I like how you went with the Force T-shirt.
The force is strong in my family, and today, like me and Jerm talked about it, that we might actually be family because my dad's original last name was Clark, and he's from Pennsylvania, which is really close to West Virginia. So you never know.
Could be, and it would make a lot of sense with our brotherly bashing that we like to do.
Yeah, it's true. And we don't like coffee. Neither of us likes coffee.
We don't like coffee. We both like the .dp.
Yeah, we both had Baker Mayfield on our team once this Madden. Yeah. So
unfortunately, he didn't stay where he was. Oh, Baker.
Good times.
I can't figure out Baker. Can't figure him out.
I swear that Madden has programmed some of these little intricate things into some of these players, like Baker Mayfield. Like Madden, I think EA knows that there's something a little bit off with him, so they just make him a little bit off from time to time during the game. Yeah, it just seems to be that
something's
way.
Weird. And like Irv Smith, it doesn't matter his ratings. He catches more passes than any freaking tight end I've ever seen.
Love Irv Smith
for 3 years now. All right, little technical difficulties there, but we are back. Take two. All right, so let's talk about our teams here real quick. Let's for selfish reasons, we'll start with ourselves. So how do you feel about the Gom-led Cleveland Browns right now?
Well, one thing for sure, Derek Carr is a lot more fun to play with than Felipe Franks. It actually, like, having a capable quarterback, like, it's no better than what it was with Baker. Baker's actually was probably a little bit better than Derek Carr, as he should be. But I do have to say that I can play more of my game this year having Mecole Hardman over there instead of Landry, and just having both receivers on either side do the same type of things is more attuned to my game, because I basically had to fully game plan about Schwartz being the one who could make breaks. Landry would have to only do possession routes, because that's basically all that those 88 speed guys can do. And I do miss Chubb. I don't care how great this rookie running back is that's got speed. When you don't have Nick Chubb, your game suffers. And I think that's the biggest drop off that I've found, is not having Nick Chubb. And the defense is still improving, which is why I took the Browns in the first place, because the defense was all 22 to 23-year-old guys who could become studs, and some of them are becoming studs. So overall, I'm happy. And unfortunately, the rest of my division is not dominating, which I was worried was going to happen. But I've got a rough little road at the end here, because I play a bunch of really, really good teams. So we'll see. How about you? Are you happy with your destiny to be the number 2 seed this year?
You mean the number 5 seed?
Well, number 2 in your division. Anyway.
That's life in the AFC East. Once I lost my second game, it was like, all right, well, that's it. It's time to work on a playbook and just try some different things, because you're going to be a 5 or 6 seed for sure.
Yeah, it seems in your division, whoever wins the division is basically going to drop down to 5 seed, and then whoever comes in second in your division is going to win the 1 seed the following year, just because of scheduling.
Yeah, I guess we're going to keep rotating it.
And then Smithy will win 1 year.
Yeah, but usually I'm more of a defensive powerhouse team, less offense. This year I have a little more offense, but my defense is kind of dropped back a little bit. I was doing great until started playing the AFC West. I don't know what it was about the AFC West this year, but the AFC West seemed to have my number. I lost back-to-back games to Johnny and Mustang. But,
yeah, they can be tricky.
I do have my boy George Kittle, so even in my losses, life is still fun.
Is it, how much more fun is it for you to have George Kittle in? Because I know it's been an extremely long wait for you.
It has been a long time. It is fun. At least if I don't win the Super Bowl, I still have fun playing with George and Waddle and Nwangu. It's a fun offense to have.
Yeah. So does Kittle do the same things that you remember? Because we were talking
No,
about how Irv Smith
he
always
doesn't.
seems to do the same things. No.
I think it's just because, well, when I had Kittle last time, it was Madden 19 and Madden 20. In those two Maddens, I feel like you could make more catches in traffic than you can now, which he still catches some, but like he'll have a one-on-one jump ball on the sideline against the linebacker, and he won't catch it sometimes, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I understand sometimes, but when you got a huge
Sometimes.
advantage, you got to come down with those more often than not. I would expect, like the first game of the season, which I was force feeding him like crazy because I was just trying to use him. He had like 5 drops in the first game of the season.
I'm sure you weren't force feeding him. I mean, sure, he's
Yeah.
third in the NFL in yards right now, but
Hey, man, a lot of that's thanks to Smithy. Smithy refused to not play cover 2. I think he was trying to get him to cool down because he was just playing cover 2, and it was just Kittle wide open down the middle. And I was like, is he not gonna like? This is what I'm doing. Like, I'm gonna keep doing this because this is the defense he's playing.
yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Anyone, I would. It shocks me for anybody to be in love with cover 2 anymore. Just
I still use. I use it more than cover 3, probably.
yeah, I mean, well, it's good in as much as a lot of people don't use it anymore. So, like when you do, I think people plan around cover 3 so much that they're.
I don't use cover 3 as much as most people, really.
Yeah, yeah. But we could take if next when we're matching up, I'll take a look at your play call.
I would like to see that. I've never seen like what mine shows up as. I don't even know if they're accurate.
I think they're pretty accurate. One person, I'm not going to mention names, but I just looked at the person I'm playing this week, and it said man blitz 0%. So
Well, if you're not mentioning names, but it's the person you play this week, I'm sure we can figure it out.
we could, I suppose, but
yeah, maybe.
I just thought that was funny when I saw man blitz 0%. Which
my man blitz is
I'm sure most of our men
do some cover 1.
I probably cover 1 doesn't count as man blitz though, does it?
Well, I guess yeah. I don't
because
know.
it just
I don't
basically
know what it shows up as in there.
I think because I think cover 1 all it is instead of having somebody in a deep blue, you just got somebody in a yellow zone. Right. So I think it still counts as just a man defense. But I know I use man blitz quite a bit just because of my 46 package. There is quite often that I'll run a lot of blitzing, especially with the safeties. Like I think probably the most successful blitz, without going too deep into this topic, that I run is a safety blitz because it's the one defense I see that actually you'll see the guy just get through. It's not like an unblockable blitz, but it's one of those ones similar to how you would see.
Is it like delayed, or do you put them all the way up on the line?
No, it's just a straightforward blitz where the safety's on the edge, and for whatever reason, the safety actually blitzes properly and tries and finds a hole rather than just running right into a throng of people and just getting stuck like a lot of these blitzes are. Right. But it's probably the closest to the, similar to the mid blitz or the whatever the 3-4-1 is where everybody's rushing and you have the overload. So
right now we are actually well, I guess I'm a half game up because this is my bye week, so I've played one more game. But we both have 3 losses. Who are your 3 losses?
My 3 losses. One of them was Maloney.
Yeah.
just a week
Tyrant,
ago.
You always split with Tyrant.
I always split with Tyrant. And then I think God, I don't even remember.
2 points.
Yes, it was the loss to Soup. And I believe there's at least a couple losses on the horizon.
So what do you think is your best win so far?
That is a fantastic question. Like the best performance win was against the Bengals, but
which time? Haven't you killed him twice?
Oh,
no, it's Arakra. You keep killing him.
Arakra, it's so funny because Arakra was someone I had so much problem with in every single Madden up until this one.
The funny thing is that was me too, and then I actually can't remember if it was this season or last season, but I beat him very badly. And like it was one of those where you hate to even play it.
Yeah.
And I like apologized to him after. It's one of those that I would hate to be like. You hate to be on either side of it.
Yeah.
There it is. I beat him last year, week 11, 41-0.
Wow.
And I was just like, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, I know. Like my game against him, I won 45-15 against him, and then 40-0. Like it was the 40-0 one was in the rain. It was
I guess that's the same as what
it was
in my game.
It was
Either
so
has
bad.
it or you don't.
Like the rain, and unfortunately in Cleveland you get rain fairly regularly.
Yeah.
Not as regularly as in Baltimore.
Life in the
When me and Tyrant plays, it's almost guaranteed to be rain. But yeah, I think my best game was probably it would honestly, it might even be this last game that I just played, this 45-15 game. Just because the defense came up huge. I mean, got him under pressure for a couple pick sixes, and it was just there was a lot of luck involved because I happened to be like usering with somebody, and wherever his little throw to sacks just happened to go to, like there was nobody else anywhere nearby except for me, just kind of half lost, half roaming around, and the ball came right there. So what about you? Which one's been your best game? Because you've had a pretty good season.
I've had a good season, but then I had a rough stint here. I have two very big wins. I finally beat a Fedo for the first time in like 2 Maddens. So that one is my biggest win. I got a monkey off my back.
Yeah.
I beat Brock. That was a good one. I think I was running the clock out, and Wangu had like his first fumble in 3 seasons. He nearly came back and beat me, but
that's because you don't play the hit stickers.
That game against Brock was just which quarterback was going to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Because our DBs are both playing incredible. I think we both threw 4 picks that game. And me and him are both usually pretty careful about throwing picks, and it was just interception city.
It's been really funny the last few weeks because a lot of the same thing happened to me. Derek Carr was doing phenomenal. He was like probably one of the league leaders in interceptions. Then I had back-to-back games of like 4 and 5 interceptions.
Yeah,
and it was just out of nowhere. And this seems to be happening to everybody. Like Pax has had a couple of games with 4 or 5 ins. You just had a game with 5 ins, and it's just like,
yeah, I can't figure out freaking Baker Mayfield. I can't do it.
Yeah,
drives me crazy.
Well, I'm your next game. That's fun.
You are the next game.
So you can actually go and tell me exactly. Oh, you don't have to announce it, like what my defensive ratios are.
Oh yeah. Let's send that to each other when we pull it up. Because I'm curious what mine looks like, just so I can tell if it's accurate or not.
I know you can see mine for 2 whole weeks since you're on your bye. It's not very fair.
I won't show up yet, will it?
I'm pretty sure it does.
I haven't done mine.
Oh, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't when you're on. I always thought it showed you the following game.
That's still Madden up in the background.
Nice.
It probably calls me issues. All right, so let's. That'll sum it up here on our teams. Now let's. It's what we talked about this last week last time that we were going to bring it up at some point, but. The origins of GG, which was Gridiron Gurus, which was the pre-AGS. This is what AGS was built upon.
AGS would not exist had Gridiron Gurus not existed beforehand.
Had Gridiron Gurus not failed, we would have not been successful.
It's absolutely true.
So what? I can't remember which one of us was in the league first. Do you remember which? Me or you were in it first?
I'm pretty sure you were, just because
I was in it pretty early, because I think there was like 18 or 19 teams left to choose from whenever I joined.
Yeah,
we were still early in the signups.
Yeah, I think there was only 6 or 7 teams when I first joined, because I ended up being obviously I think I was the Packers first, was I?
See, that's what I was curious.
But that's
of.
AGS, I think.
You were Packers and AGS. I don't know who you were in.
Yeah, I was. I might have been the Panthers. Honestly, I can't remember. I whatever team I was. I know I wanted to switch.
I never spoke with you before we became AGS. I'm pretty positive.
No,
So I don't even remember.
no, and
I
I
was
joined.
I was the Titans.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. It was like not a good team, and I don't think the Panthers were actually a very good team back then. So that would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so in that
So
case, you were probably one of the later ones to join.
yeah, I was. I was one of the later ones to join. So for me, especially, that was my first Madden since Madden 08. Like I had not played Madden online since Madden 08, and actually it was Madden 08 only a couple of years before. Like we in the leagues that I was in, Madden 08 stuck around on PC for a whole decade.
Yeah.
When they stopped making it, because Madden 08 was the last year that they made it for PC.
Right.
And then they took the 12 years off. So I basically we had stuck around playing franchise, and our franchises went for like 10 years. You basically could do it on those, but then your player pool would grow far enough because the retirements would not happen at the same level as your new ones, or as your new players coming into existence, and eventually the file would just explode because it couldn't handle it anymore, and then we'd have to reset. But you could still have like a franchise that went like 10 years long. So it was really interesting playing in those later years when you didn't have any of the original players left in the game, and it was all just created players. But that's kind of going off on a tangent. So yeah, so basically at that point in time, I had they came out for PC, and I'm like, okay, got to search. I think it was Reddit, might have been. It was either Reddit or Operation Sports or something. And I just searched.
I found it on Reddit.
Yeah, and joined up, and great. And we both got with our new. We both met our new commissioner, Pixel Enthusiast.
Yes, Pixel Enthusiast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, I actually like so before everything went down, I actually liked him.
I did too.
So he'd get on comms.
Yep.
Pretty regularly, pretty much daily, as we were starting up, and then throughout, I guess, the beginning and throughout that first season. Yeah, it was the other guy that I couldn't stand because he just came across as an asshole. And I can't remember who it was.
Oh God, I can't even remember.
Was it he wasn't a Joe, was he? I know it's not that Joe.
No. Oh, right. There were a couple Joes, wasn't there? God, I can't remember. But yeah, there was the other guy was kind of not nearly as thrilling. And Pixel was like, I thought Pixel was a really great guy. Like, I actually bought a CPU and motherboard from him like a couple months before the end. And he's lived down in Pittsburgh area, wherever it was. So he like sent it over, and I went across the border to the mailbox, picked it up, and I used that system for the next like 5 years probably, or next 2 or 3 years anyway. And it was great.
I've been distracted while we were discussing this because I went back through our messages, mine and yours, just to see our first message, and like, if we talked about the teams that we had.
Yeah.
And whoever you had, this doesn't really help us at all. My very first message to you ever was, I may be interested in Jones. What are you looking for? So you had a Jones on the trade block on September 14th of 2018.
A Jones.
A Jones.
It has to be Jones, doesn't it?
Hey, you were flexible. You said, I'm flexible. It's my last trade, so I'm gathering offers.
I was very flexible.
I don't remember them having in September of 18. We would have still been in Gridiron Gurus, right?
I think so. You know what? The smart thing to do is see if I have Pixel still in.
I actually thought about doing that too.
If he's still here, like I have a funny feeling that it's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm going back to like the original. Basically, the people I've messaged the longest away are like Slug, Nice Golem, JC1.
Slug was a terrible version. Look, we were playing. No, we were in AGS at that point, so we never messaged each other in GG because a week later, you messaged me and said you were interested in Bar. And so
it was a Packer Jones. Maybe it was what's his face? Maybe Josh Jones.
Well, it couldn't have been Aaron Jones because I had Cook, so I wouldn't have been interested in him.
I don't even know if he would have existed back then.
I don't know. Anyways,
But
back to the origins here. Got a little off tangent there.
Yeah.
So I joined, I think there was like 20 teams left whenever I joined, something like that. And I know the 49ers were taken, and me and two friends, the only reason I even signed up for it was because I had two friends that were going to do it as well. So I was messaging them. They got signed up. They joined. I can't remember what teams they had. But one of them got what was then the Redskins. Don't say that out loud now. I remember one got them because he was a fan of them. I think the other one got the Texans. Funny story. I think Mustang was pissed off at him for getting the Texans because he wasn't even a fan of the Texans, but Mustang is a fan of the Texans. So Mustang wanted the Texans, and my buddy didn't want to change teams. He was like, I'm going with the Texans. I think Mustang even had... Yeah, that was when Mustang had the Bucks. Because he had Vinny Curry get 30 sacks in AGS. But anyways, so we finished... I think we made it to like week 14. I just beat Pixel like a few weeks before this because he was pissed off that I had beat him. Yeah. But I think I had like 1 or 2 losses. He had 1 or 2 losses. Tyrant had just joined as the Raiders. You remember that?
Yep.
Tyrant was brand new to the league. I remember even being in Discord and Pixel was explaining the league to Tyrant, which is just funny to think about now.
I know.
So then Tyrant ends up beating Pixel, right?
Yep.
And then that's what started the whole demise. And so, who do you remember who found the... I remember Diamond came to me
I know,
with the information.
I thought it might have been Diamond, honestly.
Yeah, so it turns out Mason Rudolph was his starting quarterback, and he had changed him to a star dev, and he had upgraded his speed, right?
Yeah.
And if you recall, Rudolph led everybody in the NFL in rushing touchdowns.
I thought he had. I almost thought he had superstar dev, but maybe that was before X Factor, so it was probably only star.
I think it was only star, but whatever it was upgraded from what it should have been.
Yeah, and so it was before the season started. So it was basically he had done that before the season started, and this was at a time when the rosters prior to, like, it was the beginning, like nobody had really started yet, and so there was multiple EA rosters coming out from time to time,
right,
every week as they were upgrading things back then. And so then the whole story that he came up with afterwards was that the file that he took at that time did have Rudolph as a a star dev.
And I actually remember Imlet had actually messaged one of the devs or something, and they asked them, because I remember he had a tweet or something, and said, was Mason Rudolph ever a star dev? And he said no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Diamond messaged me in like the middle of the night, and I was enjoying the league. I was having a good time.
Yeah, I know.
I was enjoying using Marcus Mariota, Derrick Henry. I just beat him a couple weeks prior. I'd won like 8 or 9 in a row, and like I was having fun. And then Diamond was like, "Hey, we're thinking about shutting down the league," and
yeah,
and they were going to go forward with all this stuff. And then I woke up the next day to Pixel's large message explaining everything, and then the league just ended like 24 hours later or something like that.
Yeah, and I think his long message was not I did this, oops, sorry guys. This was he's a big explanation trying to justify it, saying, no,
right,
he didn't,
exactly. He was making excuses. And I think Mustang was actually on comms with them that night. Were you? Mustang may have been.
I might have been.
I think
I might. Well, I wasn't an admin, so I wouldn't have been in the admin room. But I think I remembered something about that. I
don't know. We'll have to get. Should have brought on Mustang for.
I know we should. Mustang would have such a good memory of this. I do know that. There, like, this was something he was definitely obsessed with making Rudolph. Because I think they had devs back then, right?
Yeah, they had devs.
Yeah,
so he was getting rushing touchdowns, which I don't think would have.
Oh, I know. Well, that was the thing. Basically, he would sub his quarterback in for, and anytime he was within the 2-yard line, he would basically just do a QB sneak. Because back then the QB sneak was beautiful. Like, you could pretty much guarantee yourself 2 yards every time you did it.
Yeah, I think he had Like he led the league with like 15 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, 15 rushing touchdowns, and then he would
something stupid.
And then he would make sure that he subbed him out anytime he knelt. Like just that was the only time he'd sub him out, just so he wouldn't get negative rushing stats. And so yeah, he was obsessed with Rudolph. Referred to that was ended up being his demise, the fact that he boosted him up, because that Steelers roster wasn't that great, and he really wanted Rudolph to be, because Rudolph was rated decently back then. Yeah. He's not nearly as good now.
But. Right, yeah, they're terrible now. But from that, so that league ended, and then AGS was born, and the original admin crew was MHC. MHC and Imlet basically started the league.
Yeah,
they were the ones that they're the ones that created the Discord. Then they added me, just because I seemed, and I didn't really talk to either one of them that much in Gridiron Gurus. Yeah. But they just saw me as like a trusted name,
stable force,
right? Yeah. So they added me as an admin, and then we added Mike.
Right.
So that was the original 4. It was MHC, myself, Imlet, and Mike.
I don't know how you got in without having your name start with an M, but
right. It ended with an M.
It ended with an M. So close enough.
I had to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
But anyways, so from that, now we figured out the other day, and I forgot, like 12 originals left.
Yeah. It's
like that.
Yeah, the admin team honestly has probably been more or less pretty free of turnover. Like as far as the leagues go for how long we've been along, Obviously Mike is gone and Emlet's gone, but you
right. But once we added Tyrant and added you, like that, that stable has stayed the same, and since when we've added Smithy, and Gorilla, and
when Pirate went,
he was an admin brief time and disappeared into the night. Yeah. He's probably streaming whatever game it was he was playing.
Good old Pirate.
No. Anyways, I think that is the tale of Gridiron Gurus.
Yeah, and the Gridiron Gurus Gom Jerm, we maybe can go into a little bit more deep depth into that next time, perhaps, because we basically became division rivals till the end of time.
Oh, you mean at the beginning of AGS?
Yeah, like me and Jerm probably have played each other more than any other 2 people in AGS. I have to think.
I would say so now. Josh and MHC would have given us a run for a while, because they were Raiders Broncos for a long time. But I mean, we ended up in the same division in Madden 20 because I had the Niners, you had the Seahawks, so we went back-to-back seasons there. And we've always been the same conference.
Yeah.
So we've had what? This is the 21st season or 22nd season?
I think it's the 22nd now.
Yeah, I think it is 22nd season. Yeah. So in those 22 seasons, we have always been in the same conference, and we've been in the same division in like 11 of them.
Yeah. So. Like the Viking, Jerem's first team was the Vikings. My first team was the Packers, I think.
Yep. In AGS, yes.
Yeah, in AGS.
Because your first, okay, so here's my first exposure with Gom. Season 1, I'm the Vikings. With the stock roster, I didn't even make any trades, I don't think, that first season.
You really didn't need to. That roster was so good, that Vikings roster.
And so I went undefeated. My only loss was in a sim in week 17 because I couldn't play. What was his name? He was with us forever. He was the one that had the 49ers quarterback in the second season. He always quit and came back. Anyways, I had to play him, and for whatever reason, our internet couldn't connect. And so I ended up getting a sim loss. That was my only loss the whole season. I ended up winning the Super Bowl. But we played twice the first season. And I beat the brakes off of you twice the first season. And I thought, this dude's not any good. He's terrible. So
I was terrible.
You were absolutely horrible the first season.
I was playing based on how Madden 08 works.
So then you draft a fella named Maxi Bartel with the first pick in the draft, because you had the Saints number 1 pick, right? And the Saints didn't win a game. They went 0-16.
Yeah.
So you had their number 1 pick. You picked Maxi Bartel, and so he has 99 speed. He's a god right off the bat. And we played, I think, week 1 the next season, right?
Yeah, I think he only started at 98, but back then 98 speed was
so we played week 1 of the next season, your first season with Maxi Bartel. I had just won the Super Bowl. I had just destroyed you 2 games the previous season. And Maxi Bartel just goes for like 220 yards. I think you beat me by like 14 that game.
Yeah, and I think the last one was like I was near my own goal line with only like 2 minutes to go or something, and he just like burned you, just ran by everybody, just out of the blue.
It caught me so off guard. One, I was the fastest player I'd ever played against in that game, and two, I was like, I definitely took you for granted, thinking I was just gonna smoke you again.
Yeah, well, it was definitely interesting because
I need to go back and look at our conversation to see how salty I was.
I know, right?
That's what I'll do later. I'm gonna see,
if
I was salty. How many just like smug remarks I said, like, yeah, good game, but you should not have done all these things.
And that was probably what launched me on a speed kick, was because Maxi Bartel turned me into being average / below average coach, actually being someone who could beat Jerm, because at the time there was nobody that could beat Jerm. I wrote an article of afterwards,
and then there was even part 2.
There was a part 2, but it was how to beat Jerm, and everyone wanted to know, because when in general chat after that win, everyone was like, "What the fuck? Jerm lost? Jerm? How did Jerm lose?" Because
those were the days.
Because Jerm was just steamrolling everybody back then. Like there was just nothing you could do, and I think you still ended up kept winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. But it was just the fact that I actually beat you, and everyone was just like shocked at that this was like an unbelievable occurrance. And I never won any Super Bowls. Like I beat Jeremy. That was my Super Bowl for like probably quite a while. But it was an interesting thing, because I think that's what really got me hooked on speed, was the fact that I took down Jerm with speed. If I had not had pick 1.1, where would I be right now? Would I be throwing to these tight ends?
It's just funny how like we've had some incredible players picked at 1.1 in some drafts, and then we have some drafts where like nobody knows who the number 1 pick should be. Like remember Frank Crosby? Frank Crosby, I think, is still the best player we've ever drafted.
Oh,
that was
hands down best
Dolphins guy, Brady Quinn. He drafted him.
Yeah,
he was 99 speed. He had a crazy press, crazy man. He was like 6'1" or 6'2".
He was a true shutdown.
He was a god right out corner.
Like we will never, like, these were back in the days, like for those of you who haven't played Madden for like the last 4 or 5 years, when you'd actually draft guys who were like in their mid 80s right off the bat. Like you'd actually get quality stud players right out of the gate, as opposed to having like maybe approaching 80. You're gonna have like guys who are in the 85 to 88 just right off the bat, which was beautiful. And so, but that was the birth of AGS and the rivalry that me and Jerm always had. No matter where we were, we would end up playing each other a couple times a game. And I mean, our record is you probably have like, if we played 50 games, you probably won 40 of them, but it's still, the ratio is getting closer the more we play now. So
yeah, it's getting closer because you've been beating me lately. You beat me in the playoffs this year when it mattered. I think that was the first time you beat me in the playoffs, though.
That may have been the first time I beat you in the playoffs.
Because I know I've beat you at least, probably four or 5 times, maybe, if that.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, especially in the previous
I think
battles.
that one was the. And it wasn't even really close. Like I couldn't do anything. Your defense is just insane.
It has.
If your defense can get momentum behind them,
I know,
unstoppable. Like you can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm just like curious to see what my defense would do, like if like Greg Newsom ever went superstar and got a good ability.
Let's not even think about that,
because it would be terrible. The only reason I don't want it to happen is because if your defense is too good, people really do not like. If your defense or offense is too good, people will not really give you credit for doing well.
Well, you had the first pick in the draft, so you're automatically behind the 8 ball.
I know. Well, that's the thing. But
people are already going to give you an MHC shit. If y'all win Super Bowls, well, you should have, you asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
You had the first pick.
I mean, I did do a nice little purge with my team to make it like, so I'm like, yes, like, so at least I had made it a lower ball. Granted, it was
a God squad.
It was a long term.
You will get no credit when you win.
But and that's true. Like I mean, see, like because he had his god defense with the Ravens, and nobody gives him credit for winning because like he's got two shutdown corners.
Everybody's always like, "Congrats," but
yeah,
like, good job, but
win with the normal team, and we'll see how good you are, basically, kind of thing, And so that's the trouble because even with my team right now, like even though it's got good tools, I don't think anyone would be like, well, there's no way you can't win with this Browns roster that you have right now because there's very easy ways that you cannot win with this Browns roster because there's one shutdown corner and there's a lot of good stuff, but it's definitely not a god team yet. So I'm
pretty close to a god squad.
So that's the trouble. Like if you make a god squad, then you don't get credit for your accomplishments anymore.
Right.
So it's you got to win when you're just on the cusp, like right now. Like Brock, you're giving him credit because his team is beatable. Right, like you got to give him credit for that Super Bowl win because he can be beat with that team. It's not a shutdown team by any means. So,
yep. All right, so let's talk about the NFC Wildcard Race because this is as close of a race as we'll ever see, probably.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know what's going on over there.
The AFC pretty much determined every year. There are a couple teams this year that could sneak in, but in the NFC, it's a madhouse. So the 4 division leaders are probably going to win their division, so we're not even going to focus on them here. The Lions are 7-4. They seem a little bit safe. So then you get into the mess here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams all within a game of each other.
I'm not going to even necessarily say that the Lions are safe.
I don't think they're not really safe, but I mean,
like you look at their schedule, I think they've got one of the hardest schedules left.
I think that's a common theme here.
It is a common theme
because all of these teams have a tough schedule. Like I actually didn't even look at theirs, but so the Rams, the Eagles, and the Bucks are all 6-5. So they all have a half game up on the Giants, Niners, full game on the Cowboys.
Yeah,
but like the Rams, so the teams they have left are the Cardinals, which you never know what you're going to get with MG.
Yeah.
Then you got the Seahawks. He still has you. He still has Tyrant, and he still has Arakra.
Who are you talking about? Lions?
That's the Rams.
Oh, that's the Rams. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the Lions in front of me. I just kind of ignore them, thinking that they might be safe. Because they got a 2-game lead. They might be safe. Yeah. But like, so the Rams have a terrible schedule left. And he's never played those teams. Because he's complete, like, he's kind of an unknown still to us. But, I mean, according to what other people have said, he's a powerhouse.
Lions?
No, Rams, Jake.
Oh, Rams. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, honestly, Jerm Vegas has not been doing him giving him very much love. So I've been doing well.
I did, and then he got killed last week or week before. I think he got killed by somebody.
Did he?
Yeah, he lost to somebody.
I know he lost, but I think it was a pretty good team.
Let me check it out. He lost to... Well, the Giants game was a sim, right? Well, he lost by 11 to McGee.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and he only beat the Bengals by 6. So that's whenever I started to
that one was
lines a little bit.
That one was played 5 times. That one against McGee. God, what happened there?
Oh, are you in the game?
No, yeah, I am in the game. So
okay.
that one looks like.
So the Giants game was actually a thriller, and then they lost connection at the very end.
Wow.
So that was a sim result there.
Good that I've been looking at this because I think I've been betting on him every week. I've probably been losing a lot of money without knowing because I don't think you have time to post everybody's results for every game. No. So yeah, he's got a rough schedule.
He does, but he does have. I mean, he's ahead in the loss column, which is important.
Yeah. I mean, the Lions, just quickly, I play him this week, but then he plays Johnny and then MHC and then Brock. So that's a nice little force.
3 games he'll be the underdog in.
Yeah. But he does finish up with Vikings and Falcons, which he should be favored on, I would imagine. So,
yeah. So that should be 2 wins. That would get him to 9. I feel like 9 wins probably. It's safe, given how hard these schedules are.
Yeah, given how hard the schedule are. I think Maloney. I still think Maloney's got a chance. Like him clobbering me was like a huge help.
He does. He needs to. So he hasn't played Steelers game yet, right?
He has not.
Okay, so he's got Arakra,
Can't believe he beat Skittle 65-9.
Yeah, that one was weird. He's got a Rakra, Soup, and Sonic still left.
Yeah, and yeah,
and he's got MG,
Taste.
which you never know with him.
Yeah,
He'll beat it.
probably. And who else have we got?
The two easiest ones are actually the Bucks and the Giants to me. So yeah. the Bucks, the teams they have left are Carolina, Jacksonville, I'll just Taste, Gorilla, Intel. He does have MHC, but then he has Smithy, and he's got Taste twice.
Yeah,
Taste twice, Smithy, and Intel. I mean, that's 4
well, you never
games
know.
He'll probably be favored in, but yeah, you never know with those.
Well, even Taste, like, he's been more active in the last week than he has in the last
when Taste is active.
That's what I'm saying.
When he's active, he's really good. I mean, he made it to the freaking AFC Championship game with his God Squad Browns back in the day.
Yep, he's making suggestions of like or he's like cares enough at this point that he's making suggestions.
Yeah, when Taste starts making suggestions, he becomes a dangerous man.
Yeah, and he's good enough to win those games. So I wouldn't count him out.
Yeah.
What do you think? What about McGee? Good old McGee, who we
McGee has out forever. Rough. He's got a rough road though, because I was whenever I was figuring this out, I was trying to figure out a way to get McGee in. So McGee's 6-5. So right now he's in.
Yeah.
But
he's gonna get destroyed by PAX, obviously, because PAX destroys everybody.
So he played. And he just lost tonight, so I didn't update that yet. So actually, he is 6-6 now.
We are going to say your name today, Pax. Like, you know, we were last time was we couldn't do it, but
well, I guess it's not.
You're back. You exist again.
So he's got Pax, Sonax, and Soup. That's 3 likely losses. So that gets him to 6-9.
Yeah.
And so if he would have to beat Patriots, which he can do, Giants, which he can do. I guess that'd make him 8-9. So yeah, he's gonna have to pull off an upset over PAX, Sonax, or.
It's Soup. Really funny too, because you look at it like he's got
maybe Soup will rest people. That's last game of the year.
You know, his last 2 wins, like McGee's last 2 wins against the Rams and the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was played 5 times. The other one was played 4 times.
That's the trick.
Apparently, you just got to like keep crashing.
Keep crashing until you find that momentum. Exactly.
Oh.
The Giants. So the Giants are 6-6 as well.
Yep.
And they have Cardinals, me, Smithy,
McGee.
Sonax. I mean not Sonax. McGee and Flat. So I
So
think his is the most doable.
Yeah, I would agree.
And plus, he's pretty good. Like,
yeah, he is.
He
beat Johnny 46-42.
He's kind of in the Maloney.
He is
mold where he can beat everybody and he can lose to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, like he really hasn't lost any game. I mean, he did lose to McGee in a game that that crashed early. It was played again twice. So McGee, I think we're sensing a pattern here, McGee. But aside from that, like, I mean, his only other losses. I mean, he lost to MHC, he lost to Synax twice, but only by 1 score every time to all in those 2 games against Synax, and he lost to PAX. But then he just lost to Flap, which was the big one. I think if he doesn't make it, he's gonna like rue that game that he wasn't able to take Flap out. But I think Flap has finally figured out what he's doing after Cooper, because it can take a while to adjust to an offense that had a stud wide receiver and actually get a new playbook that's more tailored to your other options. So,
right. And then I don't think we didn't talk about Maloney, did we? Did we go through his?
I think Maloney is probably has a good chance. We did go through. He's got a Rakra and MG, and then Soup and Synax and Taste. So he's got a pretty good chance, I think, of making it.
He's 6-6, so he's a half game out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, especially with that Cardinals game.
It's going to be this whole race is going to be crazy.
Yeah, well,
especially and you remember if these teams pull off an upset and one of them beat like higher end or beat like one of the really good teams. That's when it's really going to get interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just for fun.
How was that? How was that in our? Do you remember who we predicted? Like, do you remember? Because we predicted who we thought was going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, we did who was going to be out that was in last year, and I don't even remember.
Yeah. So
I don't. I think we both had Maloney in.
Yeah, I think we did
because I thought that was going to be my surprise pick, and then you
and then I
you did
blew
it
it
right
out of the
before
water.
me. I was like, well, that sucks.
Thanks a lot, man.
There went everything I was about to do.
Yeah, and I think we thought
I can't remember who I had not making it.
I think I had Flap not making it. I think
that's probably what I did too. Flap's on a roll though.
He is on a roll. I'm proud of him.
Although he ends with the Jets, Broncos, Cynex, and the Giants.
Yeah, like we haven't even.
He's got the toughest of the four,
but he's right in there too, right? But yeah, I know. Yeah,
because I had his. It's where he's already played.
Yeah, he's only got 4 games left
and they're 4 brutal games.
They are 4 brutal games.
Well, that last game of the year, it could come down to that last game, Giants Cowboys.
Good
for the 7th seed, but he's gonna have to beat. So where's he at now? So he's 6 and 7.
Yeah, he's got 6 and 7.
So he can go. I bet he can go 3 and 1 and still potentially make it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's going to be.
But that means he's going to have to because he's going to lose.
I know
he's inevitably going to lose 2 packs this weekend.
Yeah.
Or I think next.
He will.
Weekend wins. And then so he's got to beat Mustang, Sonax, and Pink, which is possible.
Yep. All 3 of those. Yep. You never know because Mustang is not like one of these guys that'll just destroy everybody for sure. So you never know. You could have a good game against him, similar like you can against me.
No. So I'm gonna have. I got the Lions making it. I'm gonna put the Rams in just because they only have 5 losses, and I think he'll lose to Soup. Probably you. I think he can win the rest. So I'm going Lions, Rams, and I'll go Maloney. 49ers.
Yep.
You agree? You disagree?
I feel
the Bucks have a decent road. I want to go Bucks, but you never know what you're gonna get with him.
I think the Giants. I got to go Giants. I just don't see them not figuring out a way to do it. Because he could even.
He does have a favorable. Yeah, he could.
You know,
he does have a favorable schedule.
I gotta think Giants.
Asterisks on my thing here.
Yeah, I think Lions too. Like, because even though he's got a rough, he could lose his next 4 very easily, but I think he'll win his last 2 probably. So, and he's
as long as he don't lose 5 games, I think he'll make it.
Yeah, because he's already got 7 wins, so like he's going to get to 9 for sure, and I think that'll be enough to get in. So I would say those 2. I don't know if I can take the Rams, even though I really want to, but I will. I'm going to go with the Rams too because I think he's only going to lose 1 more game, maybe 2.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
and he's already a game up in the loss column on most of these teams.
Yeah. So,
all right, let's hop into some questions.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the AFC. Nobody really cares.
Well, I think there is a question here that goes into the AFC a little bit.
Okay,
so we can talk about it then. Let me find these here quick.
Questions.
All right, so some of the questions. So I put a who is this or put your Discord name, blah blah blah. There was a little. Some people had some fun with this, I guess.
Some subterfuge.
There was a fake Gom who wanted us to talk about Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, that fake Gom.
There's also there was a fake Pax. Who wanted to talk about his humble brag. He needed a new way of bragging without bragging. So that was one of the questions here, which we're not going to dive into. Pax, you be you. You brag how you want to brag, buddy. And then what was the other one? I had 3 that. Oh, there was an anonymous that asked about your play style, Gom.
Yeah. Oh, that anonymous.
So let's hop into some of these actual questions. The very first one is actually my favorite one. It came in instantly. The second I put the thing in there, got an instant question here, and I'll ask you: should you be punished for early GGs? Not you, in general. not you, just in general.
Well, I think you should be punished for more than just early GGs. Honestly, I think you should be punished for like, and I did early GGs back in the day, not mostly against you. It was just because on the games that you
don't make me pull the receipts.
you were pretty much the only one to do it, because I would only do it in the calm games against you. I think when you were just destroying me early on or something. But I hate them for the same reason that you hated them like then, is because it just ruins the game for the other player.
It changes the way you play.
No
matter what.
It
doesn't matter who you are or how good you are. It's going to change the way you play.
Well, it depends. If you're a sociopath who doesn't really have empathy or anything like that.
Yeah, most of the people in this league,
the guy's saying good game.
Right. Because you're like, all right, I'm having a good game, and then I look on Discord, and this dude is just miserable, and he's already given up. When you put GG, you have given up.
Yeah.
So it changes the way the team that is winning plays. They might not throw the ball in 2nd and 10. They might run it again. I mean, and I do that. Like, whenever I go up by 20, I'll automatically, like, on 2nd and 7, I'll probably run the ball. Well, if it was a closer game, you might pass the ball in 2nd and 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, it always annoys me, and that's why I've always been the most outspoken. Everybody always memes that I always talk about, like, especially Flap, because Flap was an early GGer back in the day, and I think we even got into it once over it. So he still memes me about it.
Well, because GG is like almost on the cusp of basically like giving up, like, because if you're playing any sport and all, you can tell when your opponent is like giving up. Like if you're playing hockey, I play competitive hockey, and sometimes like when we'd be up like 7-0, like the other team, when they knew they were done, like you just see them walking, right? Or because it was competitive ball hockey, right? So then you just see them like not really running after you, and then you're just like, well, this is stupid. Like you're not enjoying the game anymore, trying to play the game, because your opponent is giving up and isn't trying anymore. And obviously we were lucky that we haven't had too much of a problem in AGS of people doing some of those things like you see in MUT or other leagues, where they purposely peel their guys away, because they're
right. Yeah.
They'll let you score, or they're running across the line and just running off the field with their defender before the play gets hiked. So
yeah, especially with the 32 we have right now, that isn't an issue. I know we have had it before.
We have had it before,
but with the group we have now, we don't have that. But yeah, to me, and I said this in the Discord the other day. If you're smashing me, and it's a third quarter, 4 minutes left in the third quarter, you're smashing me, and I say GG to you, at that point I should have to kneel every single time.
Yep.
The rest of the game. That's how I feel about it.
I agree. I think that
because I've given up. The game's over. Let's just get out of the game.
I bet if we
turn on Excel clock, kneel it.
I bet if we put forth a rule that said that, like if you type GG in the chat while in the middle of the game, you can no longer you lose that game. Like you've lost. You cannot win the game.
And this is nothing against Pink. He's the one that did it, that made it famous.
He brought it to light again.
Well, he did it, and then he did it again. And then when he did it against Johnny, and then Johnny gave up the lead, because it probably affected the way Johnny was playing. But it's nothing against Pink. Pink's a young fella, and he's learning. So maybe one day this will aggravate the crap out of him when he's an old man like us and on an OG show.
This might be a radical suggestion here, but to me, I don't think that you should have even any chat in league chat at all while you're playing the game. And I'm not necessarily saying that means you shouldn't chat. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be nice if we had a dedicated channel for, like, how we have technically the game channels for comms. Like, so if you want to play, you go into the game com. So why not have like a chat like a specific area for Discord when you're playing the game, that's where you type, and it's not necessarily reserved for you and your opponent, but that can be
Right.
like game chat. So like where you want to type your chats, just so that way people who happen to be in league chat, if that's where you're watching, you don't necessarily.
Usually though, when somebody types something in league chat while they're playing, more people start watching the game. So I mean,
it is true,
and we want more people watching the game.
Yeah.
I think that's what separates us more than anything from other leagues. Is every time somebody's playing, there's at least somebody watching.
Yeah, I just wish that, because I never like to see any like negative chat chat about games. Like if someone's coming to say the game is trash, I can't tell you how I'm so tired of seeing someone say the game is trash, the game is broken. Just one of those things, like while they're in the middle of their game, like
yeah,
it's like
very annoying, and it drives me crazy because like even before I've been streaming with the camera one for a few seasons now. I think I even did it the last season of Last Madden. But so I'll read Discord while I'm playing just because somebody might ask me a question or say something. It does still always drive me crazy when my opponent is typing in chat of like if they drop a pick and they're like bullshit. Like you'll see me on my stream, I might get aggravated over dropping a pick, but I'm not making it public on the Discord. Like
I know
it's completely different, and it drives me crazy when people like every bad play that happens, it's on Discord.
Yeah, and basically like and that changes the way that guys play the game too. Like if you see somebody saying stuff like that, basically they're like, "You're not beating me. Like the game is screwing me over."
Right.
So you should feel proud of yourself for winning this game because the game is screwing me over and it's helping you. So, and that's just really disrespectful to your opponent, I think. I mean, I've done it. Like I'm the same way. Like
we've all probably done it, but
I'm like momentum, or like I can't but catch a break on this game, there's a level you just need to kind of like try and stay at there. I think, where you're not actually like really starting to say the game's beating me, my opponent sucks, but he's getting lucky. So, because everybody deserves respect, I think.
And the person that asked that question, they're the only person that picked me as the favorite in the AFC, so I appreciate them even more. So
good question, great question though.
That is a good question, and I love that it was the first question, and they asked it instantly. Second question, different person. You could probably guess who this person is, and this is for you, because you once shared
all these GOM questions.
Shared a podcast with this person.
Oh, good old Gorilla.
Who
Gomrilla will live to infinity.
It will live forever, and it may come back. Who knows?
Yep.
Who wins in a fight, Gorilla or Gorilla?
Well, this is
I don't even know how you answer this, but
this is why we.
I wanted to ask it
it's
anyway.
Too bad we didn't have this kind of quality content when we were doing Gomrilla.
Right?
I think obviously Gorilla wins in every fight, even though we didn't call it Gomrilla. We called it Gomrilla. So I'm assuming that I was with Gorilla in our podcast.
Yeah, you don't even know who Gorilla is.
But I'm thinking Gorilla is the one that's hit sticking everybody in games. That's my view, is that Gorilla is the reasonable one that has the great insights in all the podcasts and when he's on Around the Horn and whatnot. And Gorilla is the one who just goes crazy hit sticking everybody in the game. So based on the physicality of that, I'm going to give it to Gorilla. Do you agree?
Hey, I agree. I don't have enough information on this topic to dive in. Now this one is a troll to me.
Good.
And so you'll figure out who asked the question once I say the question. And it is, who is your favorite wide receiver in the league besides Jerry Jeudy?
Oh, good old mistake.
Yeah. So this is because, if anybody's unfamiliar, Jerry Jeudy had a Randy Moss Thanksgiving Day against me. He had 3 catches for like $160 or more, probably more, for 3 touchdowns. And every single one of them were being covered by all-pro corner Xavier Howard, where he just looked completely stupid. And that's the only... So, like, when I play defense, there's a few things that I count on. One is my interior D line is going to be solid. Okay, it's going to be solid.
Yep.
Second thing, I'm going to play a lot of man. Okay, everybody knows that at this point. I play a lot of man coverage. And I'm not going to worry about who the hell Xavier Howard is guarding. Whoever he's on, I don't care. Because they're going to be stopped or at least contained. He's not going to get burnt over and over. He might give up a play here or a play there. But he gave up 3 targets for 3 touchdowns on like 200 yards. Oh, and it's like, what can you do if like the one thing you count on that you don't like, and I'm sure you have the same thing. Like whoever Denzel Ward's on, you probably don't even think about. You're like, all right, well he's over here. I'm going to focus on this nickel, or I'm going to focus on this side, whatever. When the guys that you count on, that you rely on, can't make a play, it's just, what can you do? Game over.
Yeah.
Early GG.
I mean, it's completely being spoiled because like 90% of the league doesn't have this shutdown guy who can do that, but it's still, you know, it's a first world problem 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's true. Like I've had those games when Denzel Ward would get burnt by a tight end and like Ward would dive at him and miss him after he caught it, and I'd be like, but it's a Denzel Ward. Like, this doesn't make sense. Yeah. So but yeah, Judy is one of those guys.
And even if it was a close play, like in the plays that happened, he was burnt. He wasn't within 5 or 10 yards of him. Crazy.
Yeah, I honestly, I have a feeling it has something to do with that base. Whatever you do, because I know you like to move to base.
Yeah, but that's the only time it's ever happened. And I've done this for 2 seasons now. That was the only game that has ever happened.
Yeah, but it depends. Like if your opponent's like, it's in, for example, like some of those streaks or whatever, like a lot of the guys that play you probably aren't running those too much on the outside. Like most people seem to love to do their little streaks to the slot because that seems to be where a lot of the money is. So a lot of guys don't do it on the outside because the only time it really works on the outside is if you're against a cover 2 or something where you're actually clear, because most corners can stick with streaks one-on-one on the outside. So you don't really see it too often. And I think when you go to base on those ones where the corner actually steps up to the line, then that's what can get them having them lose a step like they would otherwise. So who knows? Judy is like one of those freaks right now. Like you look at the stats right now, the 2 guys that really stand out on the top of the receiver list are Jerry Jeudy and Clifford Franklin.
Well, Clifford
for the reason that
averaging like 35 yards a catch.
Yeah, for the reason that neither of them have 40 catches yet, yet they're both in the top 5 of wide receivers for yards.
Well, both are probably because of me. Both are probably because of me.
Yeah, so Jerm's defense is the gift that keeps on giving for speed receivers, apparently.
It drives me crazy because I would much rather have a great defense than a great offense.
It's great news for when we play next week. Shorts and Hardman should probably both have
5 catches for 164 against me.
I gotta watch these games and see exactly what they're doing to destroy you with these speed receivers.
And
for the life of me,
160.
Yeah, see, because I don't get these like great 80-yard touchdowns like I used to with Shorts in previous years. So I'm gonna have to study these guys. Interesting.
All right. We kind of went through this in the AFC a little bit. Okay, so we went over wild card, and we're gonna go over wild because somebody else asked a wild card question later on. Who do you think is a dark horse Super Bowl candidate? So let's take, because a lot of people think myself, you, Pax, Affetto, Soup.
Okay.
I'm taking these guys out.
Yeah.
Pax, Affetto, Soup, Brock, MHC. So take those guys out because that's who most people will assume is one of the favorites to win.
Yeah, for very different reasons. Yeah,
right.
They're a favorite. Yeah.
So let's look at.
Yeah. And so for dark horse, because like we're not seeing.
So let's look at the wild card.
Can there be a dark horse in the AFC though? I almost like if you look at the seeds in the AFC right now, can you really think any of the AFC is a dark horse? Because right now the 7th seed is Johnny, the 6th seed is Tyrant.
Okay, let's reword the question then. that has never won a championship can win the Super Bowl this year? So now we're looking at Tyrant, Gorilla, Mustang, Johnny, Sinax, and then you got the Try and that NFC Wildcard mess.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like Sinax is the one I keep waiting to happen. He came so close that one year, but then
if he could just find consistency.
Well, like he didn't like that was the year that MHC won the Super Bowl, I think, because Sinax just for whatever reason chose to let his slot guys just run right by him without covering him, which is not usually what Sinax does. But yeah, I mean, like as far as dark horse goes, I mean, to me, it's Try. Try is the biggest dark horse for me, just because he hasn't been around a ton, so you never know. Like,
but he beat me.
Yeah.
He's beaten MHC.
Yep. To me, he's the dark horse that I would say, because I don't think anyone's necessarily expecting him, because they're in the NFC. You're automatically thinking it's going to be Soup, and it's going to be Brock, and then it's going to be MHC.
Yeah.
Because you just can't stop that offense. So those three guys, you're going to assume that it's going to be one of those three guys in the final, and possibly Sinax squeaking in, but you don't really give the wild cards there much credit. But I think Try could do it.
I'm still going to say, I still think he's a dark horse, and I don't think anybody gives him the respect that he deserves, and that is Mustang. And he's lost 2 games to the Chiefs. He beat me, and it wasn't just because of Xavier Howard not being able to guard Jerry Jeudy. His defense shut me down. Like, I couldn't really do anything. I think I ran the ball well, but I couldn't pass for crap. He intercepted me a few times.
I mean, he just got pasted by Pax, but
right. So and that's the thing. I think it depends on the matchups. Like, and that's the thing with everybody. Like, I always wanted to avoid a Feto. I felt like I could beat some of these other teams. I couldn't beat a Feto, so I always wanted to just somebody else knock off a Feto, so I don't have to worry about him. It just depends on matchups. Like you're a tough matchup now for me. I feel okay against like a Tyrant. Like I feel okay against him.
Yeah.
I don't feel great, but I would rather face Tyrant than Pax.
Yep.
So I mean, it all depends on matchups.
Tyrant's a dark horse.
If Mustang can avoid Pax, because I feel like I don't feel like he can beat Pax.
No.
I think he can beat everybody else, though. The way he matches.
Oh, yeah, absolutely can. Absolutely.
I think he beats everybody else in the AFC. Or can beat everybody else.
Yep. You know,
so somebody knocks off Pax, he could easily make a Super Bowl.
Yeah, or
someone maybe he can beat Pax. I don't know. You never know game to game.
All you have to do is just injure Zach Wilson. I mean, I've provided the template for this. You can have Felipe Franks like throwing 3 interceptions and only 1 touchdown and throwing for 150 yards, and you can beat Pax. You just have to injure Zach Wilson.
It'd be nice if somebody did do that.
Grady Jarrett's out right now, 3 weeks. It's a shame.
Yeah. All right, so I got Mustang, you got Try.
I got Try, yeah.
Let's see.
I think Tyrant's a dark horse too. Like, I just got to say, because I mean, no one expected him to get to the conference championship last. Of course, no one expected me to get there either. So
it's the same thing in both conferences, really.
Yeah.
So if we put out a poll, who do you think is going to win? In the AFC, most people will say Pax, a Feto, and then even me.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't won in freaking 20 years. That's what most people will say. So like that next tier of you, Mustang, Tyrant, Gorilla, Johnny, like y'all, you're always overlooked just because of that top tier. Everybody's always focused on them. Same exact thing though with the
exact same thing.
Everybody is focused on the top 3.
Yeah,
focused on MHC, Brock, and Soup. But then there's guys like Try, Sinax, and then if freaking Flap or Maloney or any of those guys,
and Dog is the 6th.
This Jake guy could easily be the next top guy in the NFC, according to what people are saying.
I think he will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it'd be interesting. Although, I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't know if anyone's going to beat Pax this year, just based on But you never know. Like he's had a really nice soft schedule all year too, compared to previous years. So
I say that, but he pasted me, so
I
can't even get away with saying that.
Well, it's just softer than because he hasn't had to play any of the big guys,
All
and
right.
that can be a problem when you hit the playoffs. And all of a sudden have to because that's why last year in Madden I would always get destroyed because I'd have these nice soft schedules and I'd get one seed and then I'd get to the playoffs and then it's like holy crap, people actually stop the things I do.
I think that'll help. That might help me because has anybody had a more brutal schedule than what I've had? I honestly don't know because I lost to Pax, Johnny, and Mustang. That's 3 awesome players. I beat Affetto, Brock, and Sonax. I beat those 3, and that's 3 of the top 7 guys. And then I still have you, Pink, and Pax to go in my next 3 games. It's a brutal. That's 9 games.
Yeah,
they're brutal. That's 9 games against probably top 10 guys.
It's just everyone who won the division had that grief this year. I think my schedule.
No, they didn't. Because I'm about to tell you about that in the
only
NFC.
Difference with ours, the only difference between mine and your schedule, more or less, is the fact that you play Pax twice and I play Tyrant twice.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's the same.
And you play Rocker twice, and he's a little bit tougher than.
Yeah, it's just a little. Rocker can still be dominant. Because Rock was leading the division a couple of weeks ago, right? But yeah, my schedule all of a sudden I had Tyrant twice, and then I had Soup, and it hasn't been terrible. But now I play Try, and then you, and then Gorilla, and then that ran Jake, and then Mustang, and then Affetto. So it gets tough.
We'll jump down to a different question here.
Next question.
So we're talking about schedules. That's why I wanted to skip down to this one.
Yeah.
So I've got a question. So the Packers are 11-0. Are they really this good? And the reason I ask that is because I actually tried to prepare a little bit before we started. So I was checking the different teams' schedules. And I was like, all right, who's he beaten? I went down to see who always beaten. So back-to-back weeks, he got lucky with Sims.
So one was a force in his favor. So
right, but his. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. Look, I'm just saying he didn't have to play these games.
Yes, that's very true.
In 2 games, it would have been his 2 toughest games of the season.
Yep. Against
Try, and it ended up being a sim. He got a force win. I think Try internet or something couldn't work.
Yeah.
And then a fair sim against Brock, which would have been the NFC game of the year.
I know.
So those really 2 games that we really could have seen did Amari Cooper make him this much better than everybody? Because if you look at the rest of his schedule, he smashed everybody. He had 1 close game against Johnny. He won 20-14. I think it was an overtime game, right?
Yeah.
Overtime.
Then he had he had 1 sort of close game against Koopa.
Yeah, he did. 31-24.
Yeah.
The game against Johnny is his only game played against somebody with a winning record.
I know.
And Johnny's 6-5. This is his only game. Not a win. I mean, not talking about wins and losses. That's his only game he's played against anybody with a winning record. His other toughest game was Pink, week 1.
Yeah, if the question was who had the easiest schedule, you almost have to go with MHC this year.
It would have been the easiest schedule anyways, but then you take away his 2 toughest games, you didn't have to play them.
Yeah. I mean...
And then you look at what's left.
Yeah, he's got he'll play Mustang.
I guess it does get tough here.
He plays Mustang. He probably will play Try this next one, and then he ends up with Tyrant at the end. But do you see him going undefeated? I think he's going to lose 1.
I think he'll lose. Well, he gets back-to-back games against our 2 dark horses, Mustang and Try.
Well,
I think one of them will beat him.
I'd like to say Mustang will beat him, but I don't know if Mustang's defense, don't get me wrong, Mustang has a great defense, but when you got Rodgers and Adams and Cooper, when you got 2 receivers that if they're in single coverage, they're going to win 90% of the one-on-ones, which those 2 will do. You can't really have them doubled too much unless you're using zone a lot. You have to. You can't put that's the trouble with. You can't really use man very often against those receivers, because if it's man coverage, they're gonna just take the break. And I think one or both of them have the ability in man coverage that they actually get that first step or whatever it is. So.
Well, Cooper doesn't have the route running ability. He has outside apprentice. He has deep out elite, but he doesn't have the route technician or whatever.
Okay, so yeah, he's got route apprentice, so that just allows him to do some of those nice little routes. Yeah, so.
But yeah, I mean,
well, it'll be an interesting thing. I mean, like we were saying, that can be a crutch when you go into the playoffs and all of a sudden you play strong guys after you've had a cakewalk of the season.
Well, at least he does he does end the season way tougher than it's been.
Yeah,
because after he plays greatness next week, every game is 500 or above the rest of the way. So he does have that. But so far, his 11-0.
It's been a pretty soft 11-0.
Very soft. Whenever I looked at it, I was like, what in the world? What has he even been doing? Of course he's got all these stats.
Yeah. Well, no, it explains how, Cooper, it's just been... Yeah.
And I guess that could go into the next question here. What team or teams do you think are exceeding expectations? I mean, I wouldn't say him because he's always good anyways. So, I mean, I'm just talking about his schedule right now. Yeah, I feel like McGee has to be the obvious answer here. Yeah,
that's probably the one that you got to give credit to, just because McGee's had so much struggles the last Madden or two that he's actually was winning. Even though he's had a tough few games, he's still in the thick of it for the first time in forever. So yeah, I think he's the obvious one.
I mean, Arakra a good player. He just had a bad Madden.
If we would have been talking about this 3 weeks ago, Arakra would have absolutely been blowing expectations away. Because, like I said, he was beating the division. He only had 2 losses, and then it just collapsed for him the last few games. Yeah.
So he's 6-6, but 5 of his 6 losses are against you twice, Tyrant, I think twice.
I thought they split that one, or did he? Did he lose both of them?
Oh no, he did. They did split.
Yeah.
But all of his losses are against good teams, except for he lost to the Texans a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He just lost a thriller to Gorilla earlier.
A part of me wants to say that I think the Bucks are actually they're doing better than I thought. Because honestly, he struggled a little bit near the tail end of last season. That I didn't know if he would recover, but he's actually, I've just been impressed because he's I think balanced his game out a little bit more, and it's helped him to win.
He started this season 0-3.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It didn't look good for him at the beginning, right? I mean, even though his first game was against Brock, and then his third game was against a Feto. So I mean,
beat Brock the second time, unless that was a sim. I don't think it was a sim. Though he did just get smoked by greatness.
He did a couple weeks ago, but greatness is one of those guys that can.
Yeah,
but he beat McGee on.
Greatness was also up by 20 against me at one point. Well, I can't talk about him.
I kind of want to see this Eagles schedule to see if there's any games that were played once, because even his game against McGee was played twice.
Yeah.
So it's just what? How can that be every week? But no, he beat Brock legit, right? So I mean, and that was a huge game for him. And his schedule is not that bad, right? So I mean, we didn't talk about it because I kind of think that he's going to make the playoffs.
And McGee?
No, Dog.
Oh, yeah. I thought he had.
I think that was a given. Yeah, he's in there right now. Yeah.
But it depends. You don't know where you're going with him. He could lose them all and it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I know, it's true. Well, I'm saying and we didn't talk about Gorilla too much, but it's hard to tell too, because he's won 4 in a row, right?
Yeah.
And
he had the sim loss. You talking about Gorilla?
Yeah, Gorilla. So
yeah, he had the sim loss that he was pissed over.
Yeah.
MG.
Yeah, but he beat because he got a sim win against Johnny though. So I mean, he can't be too sad, even though that was a force win. But at least you still got a win against Johnny.
That's true. That's true. I'd like a force win against Johnny this season.
Yeah,
because I lost.
And then I get to play Gorilla in a couple weeks, which will be fun.
All right, so we go with McGee and
McGee and
probably over it.
McGee and Dog, yeah. If it, like I said, it would have been a couple weeks ago, it would have been a rocker, but he's kind of fallen off.
Yep. So, what team or teams are disappointing?
Ooh, that is a great question.
I think this one, the one that jumps out to me, and it's been going on for 2 seasons now, and it's Skittles.
Yeah,
he was all the way in the AFC Championship game. Yeah, because he beat a Fetto the first season of the playoffs. And last year he was terrible, and now this season he's terrible. I don't even get to is he even streaming his games? I don't even remember the last time I watched one of his famous streams.
Well, he's still streaming for whatever reason. He's not posting. I don't think he's been posting the link in there, so I don't know.
I haven't seen him even stream. Whenever when he's having fun and winning games and streaming,
yeah,
it adds an element to the league.
Yeah, I know. We miss you, Skittle. Hopefully, you're watching this and decide to.
He's not watching.
No, maybe
somebody clip it and send it to him.
So yeah, exactly. I think the biggest it would have been Flap had it not been for his little resurgence.
Yeah, Flap for sure before this resurgence, and he's probably still gonna miss the playoffs, so it's probably still him.
Yeah, but I think one of the ones that I'm kind of MG is like, I can't believe MG's 2-9. I mean, I know there's forced losses in there, but like if he was really like in it, he would be a playoff coach. And personally, like I'm kind of sad to see Veg at 1-11 because
he's just gonna do every other year.
Yeah, like last year he showed that, and he's like he's not. He's kind of obviously like fallen off a little bit, but he also had a bad schedule too, so it's kind of tough. But
yeah, I mean, once you start losing games and you fall behind and you know you're not gonna make the playoffs, I mean it's hard to get going. Yeah,
so.
Not that I know what that feels like.
I do.
Yeah, you do that. That's you like once every 4 seasons.
Yeah, I'll just have a season where everything just is just not
your
working.
New nickname, 4 seasons, because every 4 seasons you're gonna have a terrible year.
It can get to me where I just lose my way.
I think I go blind. Was another one for me. I think I even had him in the playoffs. I think he was my last team in. Didn't make it just because he's missed the playoffs by a game each of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think I had Skittle, honestly.
Yeah, I think you did. I feel like you did now.
Yeah, we were wrong.
Team that isn't in the playoffs currently that will make a push. We kind of covered. Yeah. Yeah, from last year, good Gorilla. All right, let's skip down here. Pax wants to know, does Pax make your Madden MySpace top 5? I don't know what he means by this.
I don't even know what is MySpace.
You know what MySpace is.
I know what MySpace is. I've never used it.
I bet half of the league is probably like, what the hell's MySpace?
It's not, even though as old as I am, I'm only aware of MySpace. I don't think I ever went to a MySpace page.
Really? I had MySpace. Maybe you were like older.
Slightly after my time.
I'm right in the MySpace wheelhouse because it was whenever I was in middle of high school.
Okay.
So you got to put your own songs on there, man. You got to put your top 8, top 16, whatever it was. I think it started with like a top 4, and then went to 8, and then went to 16, and it's like, what's the point after that?
Well, you know what? Let's kind of slightly change the question to remove the MySpace element. And here's a good question for you: does PAX make your top 5 players in AGS of all time?
Of all time?
Of all time of success.
Well, I mean, he has to, because how many have 2 rings?
Yep. I think you're right, because obviously you're number one because you have all your banner book, your booklet of banners.
Okay, so here's the thing. I need PAX or MHC to not win this season, and then I will clinch still having the most going into next Madden. That means they can't get 3 more because we have 3 seasons or 3 championships left.
You've got 6 or something, right?
I have 5. I still have 5.
Oh, so they could tie you.
Exactly. So I need PAX or MHC to not win the Super Bowl this year, and then I'll pop the champagne and I'll be safe for next season.
Well, I don't think you can probably be somewhat confident in MHC, like even if he does, like, because Rodgers is going to stick around for 3 seasons, and honestly, the Rodgers, Cooper, Adams triumvirate is going to be what drives him to a Super Bowl this year if he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, somebody could absolutely give him like a Derek Carr type player or better.
Yeah,
that would do just as good with Adams. Well, not just as good, but you can pair, if you have a capable, good quarterback with Adams and Cooper, you're gonna.
Yeah, but there'll be an 80 overall quarterback in free agency for $24 million on the hillside.
But I don't know if that's enough to get him the Super Bowl.
Maybe not. Yeah, that's true too.
Whereas Pax, you know that he's going to just wheel and deal his way into a dominant team the rest of the way. So.
It's hard to compare people now that aren't playing.
It is true.
So like Seymour has a couple.
Yep.
Velasco has a few. You got the great bandit Keith, the jerk.
Mm-hmm.
The top 5 ever? I guess he'd have to be.
I think you'd have to.
Plus he's been to more Super. Like he lost a couple Super Bowls too, right?
Yeah. I mean, and to his credit, like we're seeing the Pax without the Pax effect of the Egyptian leg, and it didn't slow him. Like it slowed him down a little bit, where he kind of like got used to playing a different type of game that didn't have lag in it, and he's come up to still be dominant. So
if Mount Rushmore was under construction right now,
yes.
It would probably, just based on championships, would be me, Velasco, Pax, and probably Seymour.
Seymour's got more than one? I thought he only won 1. Well, you have that nice little list.
I have the list right here.
I thought he left right after he
lost
finally
like 3 in a row. I think he won 2.
He made a lot of Super Bowls.
Yeah, he won 2.
Okay, he did win 2.
Yeah, he lost 2 Super Bowls in Madden 20. He lost a Super Bowl in the to you in the redo, so he lost those 3. Then he beat a Fetto, lost the Pax, then beat Pax and retired. So I think it would have to be me, Velasco,
Seymour, Pax,
and Pax as the.
I guess we're only going to go top 4
as the Rushmore. Well, I guess, and then MHC would be number 5 because he won the 2.
Yeah, he's won 2 technically. We're not going to count Bandit Keith, so.
Well, he played 3.5 seasons.
I know.
So.
But that being said, like, you know, like MHC's played every season. He won the 2 with the God team. So
you're giving him the butt. Yeah, he won 2. But
yeah, that's because I would love so much for MHC to, like, you know, take the Broncos next Madden and win the Super Bowl with them within like the first few seasons. That would be the greatest thing I would ever see happen.
He would definitely shut everybody up if he did that.
Yeah, his legacy would be you could not ever dispute it at that point.
Now, I still think the saddest thing that wasn't even an option because he hasn't won yet is a Fetto.
I know.
To me, I still think Fetto's the best player in the league.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
And he still doesn't have one. But the thing is, us even talking about it right now, and the fact that it's a topic to everybody else, it's a reason that I told you last show that Brock had won the offseason because he got one. So it's behind him now. He don't have to worry about it. It is lurking in the shadows above a Fetto, popping out every time he loses.
Yeah, the longer you go without winning one, like
that's what's happening to me right now. I haven't won one in freaking 12 seasons. Yeah, I got 5, but I haven't won one in forever.
Yeah, I'm sure that's like when
I haven't been to one in 12 seasons.
I remember you telling me when we were playing the playoffs, and I beat you on this last playoff run you were like clenched a little bit because
I used to not do that. That's why I feel like once you start winning, and that's probably why Pax is so confident in going in every game now.
Yep.
is he's in a run where he's winning those games. Like when you start losing those games season after season, and we play for 2 months to get to a championship, and then whenever you lose in the first round of the playoffs, it's like, oh, there's another 2 months.
Yep, I know. It's
it eats at you.
Yep.
Let me see. Okay, so last question here. So AFC West, the Chiefs had to give out a few forced wins early in the season due to vacation. But if you look at how close the division is currently, and look at the interdivision matchups, how do you? Okay, so they didn't really have a question at the end there. So let's just say, can VBank or can VBank top Mustang or Johnny in the AFC West, or to make the last wildcard spot?
Well, I mean, they're all one game apart right now, so like
and VBank has beat Mustang twice.
Twice.
Beat him twice
in real wins.
Yes, won both games.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you've beaten the guy who's leading the division 2 games, then you absolutely can do it.
He lost to Johnny 21-14. You're in the game. Which one's what's his sim games?
All right. So his sim games, he actually has 2 forced losses.
That's when he was on vacation.
Which we were talking about, to Chargers and Bills. And that's it. He has no other sim games.
And that's 2 games he would have probably won.
Very likely he would have.
That's the thing. Whenever you go on vacation, you want it to be against good teams that you might have lost to anyway. You don't ever want to lose forced losses to teams that you probably should be. I know. so he should be 8-4 right now. I mean, we're 7-5.
Well, you might be the best one to answer this question. Or was he here in week 4, or was there different Chiefs? Yeah, so you just dismantled him 21-0.
Well, his defense was good, but his offense, he had nothing on offense. Mahomes was 13 of 30 with 4 picks.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense because if Tyreek is just like Franklin and Judy, he should have just been torching your stud corner.
Tyreek had 2 catches for 4 yards.
So that's why you were confident after that Chiefs game. Like,
right? Yeah, exactly.
Tyreek can't. If Tyreek can't beat my corners, nobody can. I can leave them on islands forever.
Yes, but seriously, at that point, I knew he was good. So going into that game, I thought it was going to be a tough game. I think I even had the spread pretty low. But after the game, I was like, well, his offense wasn't really that great. But now he's gone on a run again here. And the fact that he's beat Mustang twice, and Mustang pretty much smoked me.
Well, I'm glad somebody asked this question because really we didn't really talk about him that much.
Well, I was going to, but I kept saving it because I knew this question was coming.
Smart. Because I 100% I think he has a above average chance of winning his next 3 games as well.
Yeah,
because he plays the Vikings, Chargers, Steelers.
Right.
He'll
probably be favored.
Run that off. Games. I think he will. And that would put him at how many wins? 9?
Yep.
Yeah, so that'll put him at 9 wins. I mean, that's not enough in the AFC, which is just sad, probably, but because he does end with MHC and Johnny.
Yeah, but that game against Johnny could be for the last wildcard spot.
That could absolutely.
So it's probably a good thing that it is against Johnny, because you can control your own destiny.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one. I mean, because he right now has, he's got packs, but really and try.
Well, I mean, that could be 2 losses.
Yeah, well, against Jets, you never know. Like Johnny's one of the few people who could I think can take down packs because for sure. I think Johnny is one of the smartest coaches in the league as far as intelligence goes.
He just pretends he's playing against me. Johnny plays his best games against me.
Yeah, to me, Johnny and Afeto are the 2 smartest coaches in the league. No offense to you, but I think the 2 of them either do their homework or just know the intricacies that are needed.
I agree on Afeto for sure.
Yeah, to stop what your opponent is doing. And I think that
Feddo for a fact prepares, and the fact that he prepares means he's better off than me because I don't prepare. I look at the box scores and depth chart. That's my preparation.
Yeah, that's about all I do as well.
I used to watch games and pick up tendencies, but
I know. Whenever I've had a super important game, whether it be playoff game or whatnot, and I actually went farther than usual, like to the fact where I would like scout previous streams and actually even write down the play types, like when you see a formation, if there was like plays that they would use. And I did that once. Like I was like, okay, so if they're calling shotgun bunch, they've called this play 2 or 3 times in the game, then I wrote that down. So when it popped up in the game, I was like, okay, this is probably one of these 2 plays. And I think I just lost that game by like 20 or 30 just because for whatever reason, it just my game planning was just I went over and above what I needed to do, and I just kind of beat myself. So that was the last time I ever
I just rely
wrote
on
down
the fact,
anything.
Yeah, I just rely on that I've played so many games that usually once the ball snapped, like depending on the formation, I pretty much know what the play is going to be. Even if I don't prepare for it at all. Just the fact I've seen this setup, that receiver's doing this, so I know the other receivers are about to do this.
Yeah, and I mean, on our last playoffs, the one I got to the Super Bowl in, I changed my playbook right before the playoffs because
I changed mine this year. I got a new one,
but I did it right before the playoffs because I know that
changed mine.
And I know that there's guys in the playoffs, especially the deeper you get in the playoffs, you're going to be playing a lot of guys that do a hardcore pre-planning. Like you may not do it, and I may not do it, but there are guys in there who are going to be like studying streams. Like I remember when I played Brock, like me and Brock had a close game, like because I was he and I forget somebody I beat was like telling me like, what you didn't do anything that I thought you were going to do. Like it was like completely different. Because I was like, yeah, because I know you guys are going to be studying what I've done.
And it kind of throws you off sometimes though, when you know that somebody is planning and then you go to do the opposite. And it's like, why didn't I just go with what works?
I know.
Because I do that. I did it always against Velasco.
Yeah.
Every time I would play the previous 4 games against him, I would never do the things that I did in those 4 games.
Yeah.
Because I know he's watching those games. Or at least against good players. Like, I know a lot of people will watch your game. So, like, I played a Feddo earlier this year. I beat him. So, like, if somebody was to play me a few weeks later, they'd probably look at that game.
Yeah.
See what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, that's how I beat Seymour in the Super Bowl, too. Was
just do the opposite.
Well, I had never usered a corner. Like pretty much up until that time. But when I kind of saw how Seymour had been winning, he'd like to use his slot receiver on a drag a lot. And so I basically, for the first time, I started using the slot corner to make sure that I was in front of him, and that threw him off his game. And I got like a 3-score lead and I still almost blew it. But
I feel like with me, because I don't know, I guess people pick, like after you play somebody a few times, I feel like I need to change my playbook.
Yeah,
because like once you see a few of the things that like I like to do, you're gonna, even if you're not preparing, you still see me in that formation. You're like, oh, he's gonna do this.
Yep. Well, I know this is the same. Like when we play,
I feel like I have a peak of one season on each playbook.
Yeah, I know. Even when we play right now, if I'm in a certain formation, you're probably thinking, "Oh, I think this is coming." Right. So yeah. But great questions, everyone.
Yeah,
it makes life easier on us when we don't have to come up with topics.
Because actually, I sent him last night. There's a cat. Sent him last night things that I was thinking about we were going to go over, and then I put the questions thing in there, and I was like, well, we'll just do these. Makes life easy.
This is his second or third. You may not have seen the other ones, but this is his second or third photo bomb.
Nice. Yeah, I must have missed him.
Yeah, because he's
I'm glad you stopped glitching. You did continue to glitch there throughout the.
Did I a little bit?
First few minutes, but yeah.
I have a feeling my wife. My wife is probably upstairs playing Valhalla. So.
Nice. Last thing though, real quick, predictions. So
predictions.
AFC winner.
Like number 1 seed.
Who you think's? No, who you think's?
Or the conference championship.
Well, yeah, let's do the whole. Let's do conference championship.
Okay.
Championship in the AFC.
Well,
I haven't even been to a conference championship game since Madden 21.
really?
I didn't go to a conference championship game last year, and I haven't been to one this season.
I mean, the easy answer is PAX versus Affetto.
Wait, I'm wrong. The last season of last Madden, I did make it to the conference championship. Sorry. Okay, continue.
Like the easy answer is PAX versus Affetto.
It is the easy answer, and I don't want to do it, but I feel like I might have to.
I mean, PAX is going to make it. Like, unless the only reason that he lost was because I injured his quarterback, right?
So Affetto's 0-2 in the playoffs, right?
I know that's the only.
He's
reason
lost his first game. Now
he's
and that was with the bye. Now he's got to win in the wild card, so he's got to win 3 games to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, and I part of me wants to take Mustang, but I'm just trying to think if he got that much better since last season, and I don't remember him like really getting anything that impactful to change his game. But that's true for almost everybody. Like, there's not a lot of teams that had
good.
Like, I had major changes. Like, obviously, I went from my offense is an entirely different offense than last season. So I'm one of the few teams in the AFC who actually had a huge overhaul in what their
My
team
only
looks like.
change
And
was losing
Kittle.
superstar corners and gaining George Kittle.
Yeah. So, yeah, Affetto's the one that I just don't know, because as great as Affetto is, like, because of his playoff history right now, like, I could see him losing every single week, and I just can't see that happening to Pax like every week. Like, I know Pax is going to make it at least to the division. But
well, I mean, he's going to have the bye.
So he's got the bye, so yeah, that'll make life easier on him. So, and whereas the rest of us,
it's just crazy because, like, even though Pax has the bye, like, yeah, that's great. That's one less game you have to play. The 7 seed is Johnny. 6 seed's Tyrant. 5th seed's me. So it'll be one of us 3 that he would play.
Well, Tyrant, because I still think Tyrant's going to beat me for the division. Even though I'm ahead right now, his schedule is a lot nicer.
It doesn't matter. If you can't get the 1 seed, it doesn't matter.
It really does.
I wish home field mattered, but it don't.
Well,
one good thing about the next gen, like, at least it starts with a little bit of an advantage.
Well, there is an advantage to it, depending, because especially if you're a dome team.
I don't believe you.
There's one if you're in a stadium like mine, because you can be used to bad conditions, having been playing in relatively bad conditions all year, whether it be rain or snow. Whereas somebody who doesn't end up playing any of those games because they're in the dome, and their first experience in the playoffs, or their first experience with bad weathers in the playoffs, they're gonna be like, I don't know what to do. So there can be a home field advantage if you're in a crappy stadium, like in an outdoor stadium, I think. Because if I have a home field right now with the Browns and I go into the playoffs and it's this horrible snow game, I'm going to have an advantage because I'm used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I'm playing you're going to be like, snow? What the hell is snow? There's no snow in Miami.
The only snow in Miami is cocaine.
So, like, do you even remember, was our game a bad weather game? Or wait, I don't even remember where we played. Were we in Miami? We must have been. You must have been a higher seed than me.
No, because I was the.
Yeah, you were a higher seed.
No, last season I was a higher seed because I won the
division. Yeah, you won the division. I was a wild card.
I was a 2 seed, and
oh no, I won the division too. But I think you're above me. I was like 4, I think.
I was a 2 seed. I beat Johnny.
Yep.
And then I lost to you. Yes. Affetto had the bye, and he lost to Tyrant. Right?
Yeah, last season, all the wild cards won.
Pax.
Right? All the lower seeds won, I think, last in the AFC, right? Because me and Tyrant and none of the high seeds did anything in the AFC. It was a nice little purge, and then Brock ended up winning it all because of that. So,
the AFC Championship.
I know.
This is how we end up on a 2-hour show.
I'm just trying to think who Pax's opponent is, because I mean, it's so hard to choose. Like,
it is hard to choose.
I want to say Mustang, and I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to say Mustang.
So you're saying Pax and Mustang. I'm going to say Pax and Gom. Suck it. You're getting the curse. I'm not putting it on Affetto anymore. I'm not picking a Fetto to win a Super Bowl because I feel like everybody is cursing him, and I want him to not have any pressure. So,
that is nice.
so Fetto, take the
I didn't pick
monkey
you either,
off your
Fetto.
back.
Nobody has picked you to be in the
Just,
conference championship.
just enjoy the playoff.
Yeah.
Enjoy the playoffs this year. Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun in there.
If you make the playoffs, because we don't even know if you will.
Yeah, you might not even make it. So just enjoy the underdog role and just have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
In the NFC, are we going Brock Soup or are we going to change it up? Chalk is Brock Soup.
Well,
Soup's in a slide right now.
I know. I mean,
if we looked at in the questionnaire thing that I sent out, everybody but one has Pax winning the AFC. The other person picked me. In the NFC's pretty much
nobody. Oh, yeah, nobody picked a Fetto, eh?
No.
See, if Fetto, nobody believes in you, Fetto.
Nobody believes in
you. Have no pressure on you at all, buddy.
In the NFC, it was mainly Brock. Packers, it looks like 3 people picked Packers, mostly Brock though. No Soups in the NFC.
No soup for you.
So the favorite to everybody, what everybody's expecting is Pax, Brock, Super Bowl. Well, there are only 2 champions, or our 2 champions this match.
Yeah, that's what it should have been last, or yeah, what it would have been last year if he hadn't hurt his quarterback.
Or it could have been me in there last year if you didn't shut down everything that I was trying to do.
Well, if I hadn't
I don't even remember our game now. I just remember I was miserable. And I remember you being like, "You got all the momentum" after a freaking 4-yard run.
I know you
which
did.
Which is why we're not talking during the playoffs.
You had so much momentum. You had so much momentum.
Yeah, that 4-yard run. And then I dropped a pick 6 that I read perfectly.
It's so funny. Every game I play against Tyrant, whoever has the momentum in the first drive or 2 loses the game every time.
That's because I didn't have the momentum. And you kept saying I did.
You did. Oh man, it was so sweet.
It was.
Okay, so it's funny that you think that MHC should be a given he's the only one in the NFC that actually has, less than 3 losses. Like he's got the 1 seed. He's getting the bye.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it's one less game.
Yeah, I mean you got to give.
Like, he's playing McGee a game though.
Well, I have to take MHC for making the NFC Championship just because he's not going to have that hard of a game until his second game. Because
I don't know, because
he gets the bye, but then he's probably not going to be playing Brock or Soup because those 2 are probably going to be the next 2 seeds.
Yeah, they'll play each other. So that is a good thing. Brock and Soup will have to play each other, but he will have to fight. He'll have to play Synax or Try. That's going to happen.
Yeah, but he owns like Synax for whatever reason doesn't know how to defend MHC.
Well, you could have just stopped with Synax doesn't know how to defend.
I know.
You could have just stopped right there.
It's true.
You would have been fine.
But that's what I'm saying.
We got 4 minutes before your wife gets mad at you. By the way,
it's 11 o'clock ish at this point. But yeah. So I mean, I have to take MHC for making the AFC just because the only 2 teams that I think can stop him are Soup and Brock. There's just I don't really believe in anybody else on that list that could actually has the defensive capability to shut down that God offense. I just don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to make it, and then there's just a question of who do you think is going to win between Brock and Soup? And right now, I have to say Brock, just because Soup seems to have backslid a bit,
struggling right now.
So, yeah, and I mean Brock has had a few.
It
tough
sucks
games
we didn't get to see Brock MHC.
So yeah, it's pretty dumb.
But it was simmed.
I think
it was my game of the week, wasn't
it? They robbed us of something great.
It was a boost.
They robbed us of something great. So,
so just because we didn't get to see it, I'm going to say that's what it is. So MHC and Brock.
That's what I just said though. You're just copying me.
You just said Soup.
No, I didn't. I said Brock. I said Brock would beat Soup.
You have Brock and Soup. I have Brock and MHC.
No, I had MAC. Remember, I said you can't not bet on MAC because Brock and Soup are gonna.
So you have Brock beating. Okay. I guess I zoned out when I came back in. You were talking about Brock beating Soup, so I thought that was your championship.
No, because those two will be the 2 and 3 seed. And they're
right.
Gonna have to end up playing each other after.
Right. So I mean, that's our only option. We have to go MHC and.
Yeah, MAC and one of those two, basically.
Even though I still think that Tri or Synax could.
I don't think Synax can't beat MAC. Try maybe, but Synax. If you watch that Super Bowl,
and that's another thing, we didn't get to see Tri and MHC.
I know.
So it's hard to predict what's going to happen when they haven't played this season yet. Which he does play, I think, next week or week after.
Well, Synax is very unique on his defense because he plays a very
aggressive,
blitzy, user in the corner, and whatever
they're going to sack or give up a touchdown.
The trouble is with his team, it's like it plays right into what MHC can do with those stud receivers, like that he can just get them not only getting catches but wide open because the way Synax is so aggressive, he's counting on one player to shut them down, and if they don't, it's a touchdown. So, I unfortunately don't see any way that it's not one of those. That it's MHC and one of those guys.
So are we going chalk here and doing what everybody else says and saying Brock and Pax? That's our 2 champions, and we got them winning another one. What are we doing? We can't go chalk.
We can't. That's it would. Everyone would be disappointed in us. We'd be disappointed in ourselves. But do you really have Brock repeating? I mean, we did discuss off the top. The pressure is the best if you have a previous Super Bowl win.
Right. He's got no pressure. Neither of those teams have pressure.
Yeah,
that's why everybody thinks they're going to win because they're most confident players right now.
Yeah. So.
They don't play tight because they've won.
Just trying to see. Pax. How does Pax have such a nice? Oh, because he didn't win this. He didn't win the division. Because I'm looking at his schedule, and it's actually a really nice, soft schedule. And yeah, we'll see. Well, because if we're not going Brock Pax, we'd have to pick the others that we picked. And
which is why I'm taking in my Super Bowl.
Oh, this better not be what I think it is.
Gum over MHC in the Admin Bowl.
Where somebody,
even though I just got through talking about MHC's schedule and how I don't believe in him at all, just because I'm doing this for ratings only.
Ratings only.
Gum over MHC.
At least you have me winning it, so that's nice. If you had MHC beating me, which
look, this is the number 1 and number 2 picks in the draft, you freaking assholes. Y'all better. Look, all I have to say is y'all better. Y'all better be in the Super Bowl with those teams y'all have. I'm going to go back to that.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, I'm going to go, this is for Mustang. I'm going to say Mustang over Brock because I think Mustang.
Somebody's got to be Pax.
I think. Well, and I think that Pax has lost the last few years. So I mean, he's clutching a little bit in the playoffs.
Last year, he won the Super Bowl year before.
Yeah, but that was anything Pax effect in Egypt. None of that counts. No, it counts. But yeah, I mean it's tough. We'll see. Even though he lost because Zach Wilson went down, it's still at that point in time, it wasn't like a game that I couldn't have won. It just made it much easier to win when I didn't have a quarterback that could throw very well against me because I didn't have one either. So, no, I just think Mustang's playing really well. And he has the defense to win every game, and he can absolutely go on one of those tears. And I don't think Pax is going to be ready as he has been in some seasons because his schedule has been relatively easy. Besides, his good old games against Jerm. So I think it's going to be a little tougher for him to get used to playing teams that he can't basically just destroy because he's been able to destroy almost everybody he's played this season. So
I get the toughest schedule.
I mean, he did just. I mean, that
he had 9 games against top 10 players.
Well, I'm saying this, but he also just pasted Mustang 38-21. But I'm going to say that Mustang,
who beat me,
is going to learn from that game and is going to adjust.
I think there was also some things in that game that did not go Mustang's way.
No.
I've been saying he can't beat Pat, but I'm mainly.
Yeah. No. Apparently there was a lot of picks dropped. So
picks, that roll, that first down.
Yeah, that roll. I know. I was like, oh, he stopped him. He stopped him.
That one would have sent me over the edge. And I don't go over the edge much, but that one would have done it.
I would have challenged it just for even if I lost the challenge,
then you would have lost.
I know I would have lost.
You lost your pause, and then you'd be more pissed.
I have won 2 challenges this season.
It's amazing. You can't even challenge in the same half twice because you can't pause twice. It's stupid.
Have you won a challenge this season?
I did win a challenge.
Yeah,
can't remember who it was against, but it was in a big game. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a sideline catch or something. I forgot to mention 2 hours later, my background is is Alvin Kamara diving into the end zone. It's actually a screenshot from that Brock posted. Nobody posts screenshots, so I thought maybe we could use the screenshot channel, and we'll grab whichever the best screenshot is, and we'll make that the background for the show each week or each time we do it.
Yep, that's fantastic.
Even though they've been looking at it for 2 hours and I never explained it. That's what it is that you're looking at.
Yeah, right. I'm just looking at Jerm, so I have no idea what he's talking about.
I know.
But and I'm sure our next show will probably be a little quicker than this little gap was.
The next one will be less than an hour probably, and it'll just be a playoff preview.
You should really never say less than an hour.
I shouldn't say less than an hour. Probably about an hour, 15 hours.
It'll be less. It'll be less than 2 hours. I can guarantee you it'll be less than 2 hours.
I still would not mind doing a top 100. If I do a top 100, then I will make it a show and a reveal.
Yeah.
So that may still happen. I have an idea in mind. I just haven't put it to fruition here. So maybe it'll happen. Who knows?
No. Yeah. It'll once you're in ketosis, it's just gonna flow.
Maybe if I can stop with that DBs here.
That's right.
Go back to the water.
What's wrong with Diet Dr. Pepper at 2 a.m.? Nothing.
Nothing's wrong with Diet DP at 2 a.m. It's a DDP. So me and my buddies called it at work.
Nice.
Anyways, I believe that is the show.
Yep. Hopefully some of the rest of you are still awake after 2 hours, but even if you're watching it in the middle of the day.
Yeah, this might put you to sleep.
Hopefully we were somewhat entertaining this time.
I hope so. So for Gom, this is Jerm. We are signing off, and we'll see you next time.
Number 3.
Number 3.